Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 3 of BPMs, where the ballistic penguin missiles come at us every single day. I am Papa Bear, and to my left, I am joined by Jan.
Hi.
And to my right, I am joined by Trevor. We did a little bit of rearranging. We noticed that the arm bars were kind of blocking our faces of the two stallions to my sides, so we decided to adjust a little bit. Hopefully you like it, and it works out a little bit better, so now you can see all the little nuances in their faces when they scream and cry. Today is especially fun for us because we are drinking, and I'm planning to do plenty of it today. So cheers with beers.
I may disappear at some point from the camera to go replenish beers, just so you know. I'm the closest to the door, so.
Same.
And now with that paid sponsorship, we're going to move forward.
No,
As
we
you know,
paid for this beer.
Yeah, I know. That's why it's a paid sponsorship.
It's only paid
we
for
had to
you.
pay for the sponsorship.
Oh, God.
So anyway, moving forward. As you all know, BPMs, we come to talk to you about the underground music scene and all the things that we wish to discuss about it. More or less, we try to discuss things that are in the wheelhouse of what we enjoy and what we promote. So that's usually in the metal industry. We do talk about punk, we do talk about rap, we do talk about all the different genres because we are not biased to any or one set style. Today we will be talking a little bit more though on how bands can figure out some things about what they need to know when moving forward in their careers as musicians. And for today, we kind of wanted something. We noticed the last 2 episodes, we haven't really been like debating much, and you haven't really been getting more than just 3 guys kind of talking about the basics. So one of the topics that we remembered when we were bringing up this podcast idea was photography, and the big thing about it being more or less about your stage presence and what works best for a photographer, what works best for a venue, and what works best for the musician, and how all 3 of those really do not correspond well together. So we thought that would be a really interesting take today to kind of dive into that and just kind of discuss with you what you can do to make that better and what obstacles you will be facing and how you can hopefully kind of smooth that whole process out. So with that being said, let's start out right out the gate with advice for bands, performance, their showmanship, and are you photographic?
Yeah.
I know this is a big topic for Jan, especially considering he is the photographer, but it does actually hold a lot more merits for us as musicians as well, for me and Trevor. And it
even
also
for you as a promoter.
And as me as a promoter, because I have to set the stage up to give that flair for the audience to see, so that way it doesn't feel like we're just doing it in a dark corner of a bar.
Yep. So, I mean, with that said, when we just purely are talking about, this from a musician standpoint, from an artist standpoint, just having energy on stage is a massive thing. But doing that effectively, like showing emotion in what you're doing, really like moving to the beat of your own music, because you can stand there and bang your head. If you're not in cue with your drummer, then I'm not going to catch it.
Right.
If you're off beat, I'm sorry. But no, a lot of things too is, when the lights first go on, look at where the stage is lit. If you're in a smaller venue, there's a pretty good chance that not all of the stage is lit all that well. If you have a photographer who's at the venue, a house photographer, go up to them, ask them, like, hey, is there any spots where I'm going to get crappy photos? Tell me and my bandmates where not to stand.
Right.
There's been plenty of a show where I have had a bass player just hiding in the back corner and no light on him whatsoever. Or I've had a venue where the drummer just didn't get lit sitting at the back of the stage. And that's a very common problem for small venues, because really drummers need an extra light bank. They need an extra angle of light on them because they are that far removed from the rest of the band, typically.
Well, that, and they're also hidden behind a kit. So you've already lost about 2/3 of their visual aspect altogether.
And mind you, when it comes to that, like for promoters, for venue owners, if you can set up a drum kit, even like a nice house kit or a regular drum riser, and get an angle on it so that that light's going to reflect off of a ride cymbal onto the drummer's face, it's amazing. It makes for such great lighting.
Oh, yeah. So before going into like the diving of like the lighting and things of that nature, let's kind of bring up a topic of how should a band approach a photographer? Like, what are the first things that come to your mind when like a band approaches you and they say, hey, can you take photos of us? Do you have anything like notes or tidbits that you give to the bands? Like, okay, cool, I need to know, can you guys do this? What are you guys looking for as far as like your styles of shots? What kind of things do you have in a communication with an artist when they're looking for a photographer?
Yeah, I mean, that kind of depends. There's been bands that I've met on the day of the show who come and ask me. It's a little less that I can give them then. But if it's beforehand, I'm like, look, man, I know we're in the metal scene and wearing black is kind of a staple, but wear just a shade lighter. Show some shape. Because if you're black in a dark venue, you blot out. You're gone. If you have lighter clothes on, you stand out more by default.
Yeah.
And if you're more visible, it looks good. Other things are, let's have a quick conversation. Like, what are you guys going for? You know, do you want to show how intense you are? Do you want to show how goofy you are? Do you guys have anything you do on stage that are kind of your thing? You know, we've seen bands with stage gimmicks that, you know, that work.
Yeah.
We've seen the wacky waving inflatable arm inflating toot mans.
Good old Zon.
And having those on stage, it adds an extra element. And if I know to expect it, I can get a better shot of it.
Yeah.
Similarly, there's some bands who just told me, like, we're going to do random stuff, and I hope you can catch up. And sometimes I can, and sometimes I can't. That's just the name of the game at that point. But no, if you're coming to me, and I'm like, talk about outfit, take the hair ties off your wrist, guys. Just take them off your wrist.
He gives me shit about it every day when I do have one on my wrist. He's like, $25.
That's my regular fee for hair ties during a shoot. But no, take the hair ties off your wrist. You know, and make sure that your equipment's clean. If you have a photographer at a show and there's just like ugly stains sitting on your drum kit or on your guitar.
Hella dust on your drum kit.
Oh God. And honestly, like on the fretboard, it shows.
Well, yeah, when you're using that nice of a camera, it's definitely going to pick that up.
Yeah. Just clean it. Nobody needs to see your fingerprints.
Or your wrist sweat on the top of your guitar. That one drives me crazy. Like,
yeah.
I don't even want to touch your guitar.
Well, similarly, too, like if you as a musician know that you have a good side, you know, position yourself so that it's going to be lit well. If we have a chance to talk to the light guys beforehand, like, hey, avoid red lights, avoid strobes if you can. I mean, I know strobes are needed sometimes for just the show element of it, but my God, are they a pain to shoot? And if you do that during the heaviest parts of a song, I'm like, it's great, but I can't capture that.
Right. I do know that there's a lot of bands that have come to me in the past and they're like, hey, I would like it if you could just leave like solid red lights on us, or can you do some strobe effects when you hear like we're going into like the crazy drum rolls and stuff like that. And I do try to warn them that it's like, hey, because there's many shows where I've booked you to be just an in-house photographer for the night, so that way we can get some stuff out there for the Papa Bear and Associates products. But I do try to warn them. It's just like, hey guys, if you guys want that stuff, I get it. Red, angry, you know, hardcore, metal, rawr. Yeah. It's one of those things where it's just like, guys, it's cool from the aspect of the audience, because you're trying to give that like dark persona about the whole atmosphere. But at the same time, you are screwing yourself to any good photos that you're going to get out of this. And I've literally had bands come to me and just be like, pure red. We want no other color, just red. And it's just like, guys, you just killed your whole entire night of photos.
One of my favorite bands, they didn't do many American tours upon this dawning. When they switched to their new vocalist and bassist, they had like this terribly awesome thing for a photographer, but it was awesome from like a crowd standpoint, where their first song, all their breakdowns when they do their chugs, it would be just a white strobe fade to black, white strobe fade to black, white strobe fade to black every time they would dip with their head banging. Sickest thing for the crowd ever, but the video quality was terrible, and you didn't see any cameras. Cameras.
I mean, I could see that as long as it's predictable and I can time to it. Yeah, please. But a strobe going off because somebody is, you know, pressing a button or a foot pedal. I'm sorry, but I can't match that
what
tempo.
I was saying, like, to agree with you, is like it ruined the video quality.
Yeah.
And like this wasn't that long ago, so there is nice cameras capturing it, but it was like 360p.
But the other thing too is, like, if you are a performer, and you're looking to get good photos of you and your band out of your set, let me know. I'll work with you. I know most photographers will. If you come to me and say, hey, I have a show tonight, could you come to it? Like, I don't want to be an asshole, but don't come expecting that for free.
Right.
I love photographing bands. I absolutely do. And once we get back to them after this whole pandemic thing's over, I'm going to be photographing a lot of them. But just being like, hey, I've got a show tonight. My band's playing, could you come out and we'll buy you a beer? Love a beer. Don't get me wrong. But I like to pay my bills more.
Yeah. Right. No, and that's kind of the same thing that, like, a lot of artists really get upset when it's like, oh, the promoter only shifted me like $20 or something like that to perform tonight. But you got to expect the same thing for the photographer too. Anybody who's using their art in the medium to try to further the music industry, yeah, we all want to do it. We all love it. It's a hobby. It's a passion. But you got to haul your gear down there. You've got to set up. You've still got to deal with the difficulties, taking the risk of going through mosh pits, getting cameras busted, which we brought up in episode 1, but we never actually really did discuss.
We will be talking about that today.
So why don't we just throw that out there now to kind of give people like the idea of like, you don't take a free ride in this. Like, there's a lot of risk.
I really don't. And I mean, when it comes to my camera gear, I have had it kicked, I've had it punched, I've got elbows, I have had to protect my camera with my body before, where it's just a matter of people being completely ignorant of the fact that you're there photographing. Like, I don't willingly go into a mosh pit, not with my gear. Like, that's a couple grand that I'm carrying around, and I don't want to risk it. But sometimes to get the angle, I'll be near a corner of the pit, and somebody might get launched from it. That's fine. I usually keep an eye on it. Usually I'm able to guard that off, but it's happened before that people catch me off guard. The hardcore dancing trend, I'm still not quite sure what it's all about.
I get what it's about. It's a different way of releasing expression, and and I'm sorry to say it this way, but it is a fad. I'm not trying to belittle anybody.
Dance, but like, the way I do it and the way that I think
but do it during a breakdown and not during an outro.
I'm definitely not at the edge. When I'm like throwing fists and I'm like two-stepping or I'm like backswinging or donkey kicking or whatever, I'm not at the edge of the pit. I'm usually trying to stay in the center of it because I know that there's people at the edge of the pit trying to watch the show. I know that there's the photographer walking around. I know that, hell, from some shows, there's been the sound guy walking around with his iPad in his hands. And I'm definitely not trying to kick an iPad of the band performing. That's their sound. Like, no.
No, I definitely had an instance in a show that you were the one who put it on, I think, Trevor.
It was a Pendleton show.
Where I had somebody hardcore dancing and basically roundhouse kicking my camera during a single note being held by the guitarist. I figured it was safe to walk around. I barely checked twice, I'm not going to lie, because who the heck starts roundhouse kicking at a show during the outro to a song?
Pendleton hardcore dancers.
Yeah, good point. But yeah, that's.
So I don't really have a problem with the hardcore dancers.
I have no issue with the hardcore dancers.
I have an issue with the crowd killers.
Same.
And that is where I draw my fucking line. And I don't even say that lightly. Like, I do not tolerate that shit whatsoever. And one of the big reasons is because they are purposely intending to mess people up that are just there to enjoy the show.
Yep.
And honestly, I don't. When you had your camera destroyed in Pendleton, it was one of those things that I was like, dude, there was absolutely no reason for even you to be going hard. The song was literally on its last note.
Yeah.
And it was like a held out, like drawn out, like the song's ending kind of a thing. And he's just going to town and he knocks out your camera. And I'm just like, what the hell is this crap? And then you see him going around, he's still shoving people and doing stuff afterwards. It's just like, dude, that's not cool. Okay, there's people's thousands of dollars worth of equipment trying to do this stuff. I get you're having fun. Go do it in the middle of the pit where nobody is around you. The photographer wasn't in the middle of the pit. He was on the outskirts trying to get some different angles and getting stuff going on. It's not cool. I mean, now, time and place for everything. Are there bands that call for that stuff? Yes, there are bands that are all about like, I want you to crowd kill this, and it's just like, okay, cool. That's their shit.
I avoid those shows.
If I was to hear that kind of thing, guess what? I'm going to be the guy because I'm older. I'm going to get up and walk my happy ass over to the bar and sit down there because I'm not breaking my hip over this crap.
No,
I'm not that old, but you get the point.
Mosh pits age you quickly. But
Well,
no,
I mean, I'll still jump in a pit. That don't bother me in the slightest. I'll do a wall of death. That don't bother me in the slightest.
I saw a clip that got posted from when we played that surprise set at the Tin Hat, and then here comes Blaine out of nowhere, headbanging out of the pit with no shirt on. I was like, yeah.
No,
I have
I am
photographed
most
that man
definitely known.
headbanging in a mosh pit with no shirt on so many times. But no, like it's really a thing. Like if you are, as a band, call for violent mosh pits.
Warn the photographer.
Right. Give me
Every
a heads
time
up.
I've told you.
Yeah,
every
no,
time
I
I've
know.
told you. I'm like, hey, we might get a little wild.
You guys really don't.
Well, sometimes.
No, you don't. But when I look at that and I'm like, give me a heads up. Let me know. I can either just grab my zoom lens and shoot from all the way in the back, or I can be like, hey, I'm going to sit this one out. Bye.
Yeah. At least it gives you the opportunity
Yeah.
to be able to make the decision as opposed to, fuck, I'm stuck in the middle of it now.
Yeah.
One of the bands, and I'm not dogging these guys in any way, shape, or form. I actually really like them a lot. Narrow Minded out of Walla Walla. Very, very, very known for destructive personality. It's a part of their stage presence. It's a part of their attitude. It's a part of their genre.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're straight up about that.
Chaotic crust punk. I mean,
Yeah.
Like,
so it's one of those things, like, to see them like pick up a chair and slam it on the ground and stuff
my
like
bad.
that.
Chaotic hardcore.
Your
Sorry,
technical
Kyle.
terms
Sorry,
and all
Kyle.
this. But it's one of those things where it's just like the guys are phenomenal. I love the music. I love the energy. I love everything that they're doing.
Artistic as hell.
Oh yeah, yes, they really are.
Would you say they're post-Pegasus Hercules core?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Sure. We'll go with that. Whatever fits.
Whatever, it's metal. There you go. That's all I've got. I don't know what to call all these things.
And I know like bands like that who have been.
But the point that I was getting at real quick is that it makes for great photography. Like when you see the photos of those shows, it's just like, holy hell, they
it's wild.
destructive power, and it's awesome. It's wild. It's cool to see from the fan perspective. For the photographer, if you can catch it in a safe atmosphere for yourself, it's awesome to catch.
So,
for me as a venue owner, it fucking sucks. Or, well, okay, I'm not a venue owner, but a venue runner for the shows and promoter. It sucks because I'm the one who gets held liable for all that crap. But I get what they're doing, and I would rather let them have that. Or if I know, like when it's narrow-minded, I will actually now put out a couple of busted chairs that I know are screwed anyway. So it's all good. But once I've learned that, it's a little bit easier for me to work with that.
Yeah. No, I've photographed that particular band before. I knew what to expect. I put my long lens on. I stayed at least a couple tables away from them. That was good. No problem. Got some great shots.
Yeah. No, so I mean, it's not the fact
And
that...
see, but you had that knowledge.
Yep.
And you applied the knowledge to shoot the band correctly.
And honestly, like that's the thing where I'm saying, like, if as a band that's your thing and you're looking to hire a photographer or there's a house photographer at the show, they're usually pretty easily recognizable.
Yeah.
I know for me, like I carry a big old camera on my hip. I'm not there to like make hot dogs. Like,
Right.
yeah, it's pretty obvious what I'm there for. So give me a heads up. And honestly, like if you're a band and you go to a show and there is a photographer, I've had more than one band come up to me and be like, "Hey, can you send me the pictures you take?" And in my case, it's pretty simple. I send for these shows, like I send my pictures to you. You're the promoter. You're the one paying me. And between the two of us, we have the agreement that if a band agrees to pay me more, they can get the pictures themselves, and I don't care.
Yep.
And you don't care either because it's not out of your pocket anymore.
Right. Mine's just to show people like how the shows are for everything. If a band wants like those other photos that you took of them, kudos to them. Yeah, he's already here. Talk to him. He might give you a rate that works for you. If not, then that's between you two. But mine is just to kind of help build the brand so that way people can see, hey, here's what live shows are like when you come to a Papa Bear show.
I did when we first met and like I'd first found out about Papa Bear and Associates. So that was one thing that sold me on you for sure, was you were constantly posting not just like your shows that did well or your shows that did bad. You posted everything.
Yeah.
Every band that played. There's not one band that has played through Papa Bear that I haven't seen a photo of.
Right.
And
well, I mean,
that was a
unless
good
you
thing.
weren't there.
Yeah. I mean,
And that's the only
logistics
time.
Even in the
notwithstanding.
beginning, you were doing little live videos at shows
yeah.
sometimes and taking like phone photos and stuff too. And that was something that I thought was really cool to take note of that other promoters.
Yeah. No, the more you can show your community that, like what it's like at your shows, the better it's going to be. Plus, it's going to draw more bands to be like, oh, okay, this is what the place looks like. It's not some guy reaching out to me for like his backyard with a plywood on the ground with one extension cord.
Totally.
So it goes a
venues-
long way.
If I had knowledge of some venues and some staff and some photographers ahead of time, I would have never gone down that road.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And honestly, I do think that there's also something to be said about the promotional aspect for newer bands. You know, if you're a newer band, getting professional grade photos, especially live photos, is harder.
Yeah.
And the fact that, you know, you're paying someone like me to come to your shows and take these photos, they probably wouldn't have paid me for it because, you know, we all know what it's like to be in a new band. You're tight on money.
Definitely.
You know, you have to choose between, you know, a new cable or replacing new strings on the guitar. You're not looking to shell out for a photographer to come to shows.
Right.
But having a photographer at that show already, like, I think it makes a big difference. And, you know, I'm saying as a band, take advantage.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you come up to me and you talk to me about, hey, we'd like to get something like this, I'll work with you.
Right.
Like, because it means I get better shots.
And the best thing too is like that's one of the reasons why I like working with you is because I'm already going to pay you for your time being there. So it's not like you aren't willing to be like, you know what? I'm already here with the camera. It's not like it's going to take me much more effort than what I'm already doing to get you a couple of shots. If you want to communicate with me, kick me whatever dollars, whether it's $20 or $50 or $100 or whatever you guys are agreeing on, depending on the demands of what they're looking for. Obviously, that changes rates and stuff like that. But for most of those new kids, they're not even going to complain because that's one of the reasons why I started doing it was, hey, and some of these guys just can't afford it or they don't think about it.
Yeah.
And then they get these shots and every time I would look at a band's page, oh my God, on Facebook, you'd be sitting there looking at it, it's somebody's phone shot or
A Snapchat.
or something. And I'm just
Don't
like,
ever do that, please. I know a band, I can't remember their name exactly, but for their music video, and they hyped the hell out of it, and it was all standing normal Snapchat clips. Not even kidding you. It even had like the Snapchat logo on some of them. Like they had screen shared it. And that paired with the terrible audio that they had put to it, I was like, please don't do this.
No, and I think, you know, there's a quality difference there. Absolutely. When it comes to that too, I've had bands who have a friend or they have someone who is close to the band who is,
a girlfriend.
A girlfriend.
Or
It's always a girlfriend or a boyfriend.
Side stage.
I'm not saying anything.
My
But
plus one. That's more like plus
Right.
12.
12.
But I know that there's some bands who have someone coming with them to these shows, and they're there to take some pictures. And they brought their brand new iPhone, which, don't get me wrong, has a great camera on it. But it's not a camera that's going to get the same quality as my camera for shows. So why are you standing in my way the whole time? Why? I've had people like that push me out of the way to get a quick snap on their cell phone. And I'm like,
I have the real deal.
Right,
Why are you moving me?
I'm standing. I'm being paid to do this. Why are what?
Yeah.
And it's really strange. The other thing that I found is very interesting. There's a lot of bands that ignore photographers.
Yes.
Look into the camera. It's fine. Look into the camera, especially if you see me pointing that thing at you. Look into it. It makes for a better photo.
Yeah.
I get it. You want to play with the crowd too, but I'm in that crowd. I'm not just there as a photographer. I'm also enjoying your music, man. Come on.
Right. And that's one thing that I do like to explain to bands too is it's like there's nothing wrong with looking at the camera from time to time. Yeah. But you don't have to. Like, look, I'm looking at you right now. There's nothing wrong with this. But then I can stop after like about 4 to 5 seconds and I can go back to Trevor and I can be like, "Hey, I'm talking to you now and I'm making eye contact with you." But the thing is that too many artists think that it's like, oh, I've got to look away from the camera. I've got to be like, I'm in the moment. I've got to be in the zone. No. Hi. How's it going? If I've got a camera right here in my face, I'm gonna be like, this photographer wants my fucking face right now and he wants my attention. So let me give you my attention for just a moment so that way, and then I get back to the crowd.
Yeah.
They are there for a purpose. Now, if he's coming at you from the side, that means he doesn't want you to stop and go, hey. It means he wants you to continue doing what you're doing. If he's front and center, or if like there's people moshing right there, so he's kind of just a little off to the center, he wants your attention. That means look at him, give him some of your power, give your anger scream inside of it, give your high, give your emotional moment, do whatever it is that photographer is doing at that moment. He knows something's coming. He wants to capture that. But the big thing is you don't have to pretend like he doesn't exist. Just pretend
honestly,
like you don't exist and just have fun and just do what you would do.
That kills a vocal performance for me too. When you see a photographer struggling so hard to get a good shot of the vocalist, and the vocalist is just pretty much like, nope, I got the ego. I'm not paying any attention to you. I'm just gonna do my own thing. This photographer, nah. Like I see it because like I look at things differently when I go to a live show. I'm actually watching like the interaction. But that kills a performance for me too. When a vocalist or a band won't engage with the other people they're supporting their performance.
Oh, and honestly, like I love it when a band has people in it who are theatrical in their very nature and just like step it up a notch when they know there's a camera pointing at them.
Right.
And that can be a small band, it can be a big band. I mean, it's an example that I've told you guys before, but I'll restate it again for the show. When I went to shoot Sabaton, their lead guitar player was just messing with us photographers. Anytime we'd come close to him, he would just make dumb faces and mess around. And you know what? I got some amazing shots of him making dumb faces. But also, you know, when he was posing for his solo and just kind of like, instead of going into it, holding his pose a second, barely moving, and then committing to it, just to mess with the photographers. Now, that's somebody with a lot of tour experience, a lot of experience with photographers, who knows that he can get away with messing with us. But it's that showmanship, it's that, you know, just a little bit extra, just, you know, fool around, make it fun. You know, it's going to be fun for you too on stage. If you're feeling like, oh God, he's looking at me with a camera, I have to look really epic right
Please
now.
don't fart right now.
Right. I mean, I have at least 17 photos of Trevor farting.
At least.
Can confirm.
But no, it's something where like you can't let that pressure get to you. I get that, but you know, just be yourself on stage, but make it a little extra. You know, go a little out.
Now, one thing I will say, I want to touch back a little bit on something that you discussed about. Clean your fucking gear. Like, for the love of God, I cannot state this enough. I ride my band's asses when it comes to this stuff. Every 3 months, it really should be once a month, you should be going through and you should be cleaning your gear. You should be cleaning your frets. You should be cleaning your drum kit. You should be cleaning all of it. You should be shining up your cymbals. You need to look professional, because I get it. In the punk scene, especially, dirty, grungy, we're just here, rebellion. I get it. You want a photographer to actually get good shots of you? Clean your gear. And it's just taking care of your crap. I mean, come on. How much money have you put into that stuff? Why do you want it to just start deteriorating and be covered in filth and grime? And I can literally, like you said, I can see your finger sludge all over your fretboard. I am not blind. If I can see it, other people can see it, okay? And I don't mean that to be offensive, but take pride in your gear. I take pride in mine. You bet your ass. I don't even care. Everybody uses my PA. I still got to clean that stuff because I know other people are looking at that, and I want to hold my reputation as I take my gear with
Clean
pride.
your mic grill.
Oh, God, yes, please. There's nothing more disgusting than when I watch people share mics, and there's that phlegm, nasty fungus.
I bring 3 mics. I'm not even kidding you. I bring 3 mics to every show. One for me, one for Jesse, and then a backup.
Yeah, I used to share my wireless, and then one day I started seeing the phlegm on it, and I was just like, my wireless is mine and for special friends only.
Thank you.
Yeah, even though I cleaned it, it was just like, ugh.
They get dirty fast. And honestly, cleaning your mic grill keeps your mic sounding nice too.
It does. It actually lets a lot more of that sound quality come through.
Yeah.
And I think the 2 main things on that is like the guitars with the hand grease on them. It's a nasty look. And I have had photos,
especially on glossy black guitars.
Yes.
Glossy black guitars and glossy white guitars.
I've never seen the effect
on a white guitar.
White one,
it turns brown. If it's backlit, it turns brown. It's nasty. But similarly, cymbals is a really big thing, especially because, as I was talking about earlier, you're a drummer.
That light can actually benefit you off the shine.
Sorry about that.
No, the reflection from that light, you're in a dark corner. You need every little bit of light to come through that you can. And shining a little bit extra light on cymbals, having it reflect onto the drummer, it makes a world of difference.
It really does. Another thing I wanted to come back to, too, a little bit was it's like, you need, as an artist, I cannot state this enough too, there is practice learning the music. you need to practice performing on stage. If your practices let's say you practice, we'll roughly say just on weekends, once a week, 4 times a month, okay? One of those practices per month needs to be dedicated where everybody is going as hard as you would as if you were on a stage.
I would say 2.
I agree, but people, they feel that that's their comfort zone. So I get it. At least once a month so you stay fresh on it. But the big thing is that, and when you're doing that, think about when you're going into those solos. Because for a photographer, like he was talking about with Sabaton, you'll give a moment where you kind of like hold a pose and then you go. Think about when the band can be headbanging and in unison together. Think about those things where
synchronized jumps,
synchronized headbanging, synchronized hair tornadoes, whatever. It's just, you've got to think about this stuff if you're thinking from the photographer and video perspective. Even for music videos, this is a huge thing.
100%.
The other thing there is the interaction. Learn to be comfortable interacting with your bandmates on a stage. And that goes to, like, if you're, in general, not very showman-like, cool, turn your back to the crowd and headbang towards your drummer. Like, do
interact with
fun.
your band. If you're not the people person and you have that stage fright, because I get it. That's a real thing.
Oh, yeah.
So honestly, for me, it's often easier to capture bands interacting with each other than it is to capture bands interacting with the crowd.
Yeah.
Because the crowd's not lit, but the band is.
Right.
Yeah, so touching on that, for instance, at a Cold Heart show, there's some places we play where moshing and hardcore dancing is a really big thing, but then there's also some places we love playing where they don't do that. And when I know that we're walking into a venue where they don't do that, I'm like, I want to see everybody hug, right? And then that's like my first opener. And then if nobody is moshing or even jumping or headbanging or whatever, we start fucking with each other. Like, I'll mosh into Austin, or when Carl was still in the band. That was my favorite thing to ever do to Carl, because he would come back at me 10 times harder and we'd just trip over each other, and it'd create this like awesome effect of us just interacting with each other. So gauge your crowd too, from the performance standpoint, not the photography standpoint, because I know if the crowd's not interacting, you're definitely not going to be taking shots of the crowd in the band. You're just going to be photographing the band. So now if that crowd's not interacting and the band doesn't have the energy of the crowd interacting, and they're fucking with each other, that works out better for the photographer.
Well, and that's the thing. As a band, you have control over what you do with each other.
Exactly.
You have zero control over that crowd.
And if they're not feeling it, they're not feeling it. So you might
I call
as well.
bullshit to that to some degree. If you're a good artist, you know how to take control of your crowd.
Let me rephrase that. You can rehearse what the hell you're going to do with your bandmates.
Right.
If you want to do some dumb shit with your bandmates, you can do it.
Right.
If you want to do some dumb shit with the crowd, you better have a plant in there. I mean, if you want it to work no matter what.
To a degree.
Yeah.
To a degree, yes.
So anyway, when it comes to things that are great for photography, sometimes, and some people will hate. Can we talk about fog machines?
Oh, Jesus. Okay, so here's one of the topics we wanted to talk about too was what stage flare for what shows. One of the topics that I first immediately thought of was fog machines. Now, a lot of bands are really trying to step their game up. I absolutely respect this, and I think you are stallions. Still need to learn when it's okay and when it is not. I know you're trying to get that flair, you're trying to get that crowd interaction, you're trying to display yourself as you do in your videos. All of that's fantastic. I'm not trying to dog you for that for the slightest. But the problem is fog machines, certain types of big light setups that people will bring in. Some of this stuff just is like, you're playing in a spot with a capacity of 80 people. Why do I need 13 different stands with strobe lights on it? And why do I need 6 fog machines?
I love you.
And it's one of those things where, furthermore, why would you bring fog machines into a small venue in the first place?
Yeah,
it's one of those. You're going to suffocate yourself, and then the photographer's dead because after the first or second song, you're going to have so much mist in the air, and quick dissipating. My ass. That's meant for outside and well ventilated places. Yeah. Some of the places you bands are going to be playing, not even an option.
I will definitely say, if you as a band want to run fog machines, during your sound check, run them for 20 seconds and see how long it takes before it clears up fully.
Or how about you just ask the promoter right out the gate, hey, we have this stuff. Are you cool with that? And I would say yes to this, no to this, or I might just tell you no altogether. And you have to suck that up and deal with it. Now, when you explain it, don't whine to me about it if I tell you no, because I'm going to tell you, it's like, look, man, it's a small spot. Go set your gear up. See how much room you got.
Yeah.
You know, now if it's a bigger spot, absolutely go to town. Be nuts. I don't give a shit.
Seen
but
bigger
there is
spots with really crappy ventilation before now.
Well, and that's fog machine. I'm talking about lights right at the moment. But if you've got that and you've got that whole stage flare and you've got your lights and you've got all that equipment, by all means, a big enough spot can do it. But if you can see that you're compacted in a small area, you're only going to have enough room to kind of move around amongst yourselves and have some fun with the crowd. Why would you want to put more obstacles in your way that's going to, one, make you a statue, which is boring as all hell to watch.
Yeah.
Two, it's horrible for photography, which I'm sure you can attest to when they stand there like a statue.
And here's the thing.
And finally, you take a risk of, if it's not... how many venues have you played that don't have a real stage?
I can't even tell.
Ground level, you're with the crowd.
Hundreds.
How many shows have you seen with ground level, no stage?
Oh, absolutely. Most of them.
Most of them. Your crowd can be your biggest devastation to your gear. Drunks, excited people that are moshing and someone falls over. House shows. Think about what you are putting in that venue, because you are really killing yourself. Then you set this stuff up. We don't know what's going on. The photographer's like, what are they setting up? Oh, fuck. It's a shit ton of strobes. It's fogs. Well, I'm going to have the first song to take photos.
Lights. Yeah, purely red lights. What the fuck?
Right.
No, and honestly,
or
like,
pure bright strobes, you know?
Yeah.
But and then they're going to bring out the fog machines. And then I got to sigh like, well, there goes all my photographs for this band. Because it's going to fill that room. Quick dissipating or not, it is going to do it if there's not proper ventilation. I don't care how good the product is. Plus, you have to worry about your mixtures. If you are not the guy who normally does it, do not let the other person set up your mixtures for your fog machine. I'm not kidding that I had to stop a show one time because no one could see and no one could breathe. Be on par with your stuff. Know when to use it, when not to. Now, go ahead, Jan.
So when it comes to fog machines, when I say run them for 20 seconds, I mean look at how fast it dissipates and if it does at all. And if there's just like a little bit in there, you know, like old timey smoky bar, kind of like there's a haze in the air,
like bowling alley, sweating cigarette.
Leave that. That will make your lights pop.
You used a very specific term that most people don't actually know. A fog machine is not a haze machine.
No.
There are two very big differences between the two. One leaves a cloud that is supposed to sit there. The hazer literally puts a light mist in the air so that lasers can be traced through a room. If you are a musician, you are looking for the hazer. You are not looking for the fog machine unless you are Satan trying to come up out of the ground of the stage. Sorry about the technical difficulty. We are back. But what I wanted to get at was that it is just fucking ridiculous that people get mad at me, because then I'm like, no, you really don't want your fog machine in this venue. You have to understand that this is not what you're looking for. And then they get mad thinking that I'm trying to tell them what to do as an artist. And in reality, I'm trying to help them. And look, listen to the people that are around you. There's a difference between knowing when someone's trying to give you solid advice and when somebody's trying to fuck you. Okay, so figure that. Man, I really am cursing a lot more this episode, aren't I?
You fucking are.
Man, F&A, Cotton.
F&A, Cotton. F&A.
The real thing.
We've also drank a little bit more.
Do I have to drink my own urine? No, but it's sterile, and I like the taste.
Fuck's sake. No, one of the things that I do want to say, like, if you have a fog machine, a hazer, a mist machine, if you get your juice and it says Spirit Halloween on the bottle, please stop.
Don't enter the venue.
Yes, please use the Popper branding products for music industry quality equipment.
It will show. You'll feel it. There's a difference in how it smells.
Can I just be honest for
there's
like a second? I don't give a shit what kind it is. Fog machines piss me off. I hate breathing it. I hate smelling it. It gives me that weird...
If they're done right, honestly, you barely notice them.
They just I don't like them. No, I don't fucking like. I'd rather have 12 fucking 18-year-old vape kids in front of me at the show. Like,
I mean, I'm with him on this. I really do not like.
Delicious.
But
I don't
then
like
it smells
fog
like
machines.
rainbow candy canes and like.
I do not like fog machines unless it is like a national big mainstream artist amphitheater show.
I don't have to breathe
and I'm not,
or smell it.
2 feet away from the biggest
Honestly,
guitarist's
Film
ball
that
sack.
leaves in my mouth every time. Even the quick dissipating, whatever the hell,
Yep.
the film that it leaves
But-
in my mouth, taste wise, I'm just like,
And honestly, the one thing that I wanted to point out, the reason I will hate you if you use Spirit Halloween stuff is that leaves a layer on my lens.
yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
It
The
cakes
film,
on. It's absolutely horrid.
the worst.
But yeah, no, if it's a big venue with a lot of spotlights, not strobes, but spotlights, like proper quality lights, yeah, absolutely go for it. Like, haze that room up, make those beams shine down. You're going to look amazing. But if it's, your friend's show at the bar, like, dude, just ask if the house has lights. And if they do, then yay, use them. And if they don't, maybe bring like a couple lights and stands.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see what the problem is with not needing a couple of them. Now,
Yeah.
I will say that there are some people who have them set up through their own like computer ran program that needs all those lights to be able to proper functionally. Figure out a backup plan.
Yeah, no, I
make a
would say,
setup
like-
for small and a setup for big.
Absolutely.
I don't see how complicated that is. You really should be thinking 3 steps ahead. You're a musician.
Totally.
You know what you're going to fucking walk into. Why would you not think about a small place and a big place?
Yeah, exactly.
And honestly,
Exactly.
like if you are building your own light setup, you're probably building that one at a time. You know what you can leave off and still look good.
Yeah. No,
So it's like house show versus a giant venue. Are you going to bring 2 Ampeg 8x10s into a house show? No. Are you going to bring 2 Ampeg 8x10s into a big show? Yes.
you really want me to tell you what people bring into house shows?
I know what people bring into house shows.
2
I've
8x10
seen it.
ampegs is not that uncommon.
I know. I've seen
And
King
people are
Conquer.
assholes.
I've seen King Conquer. They brought 4.
I don't.
Also, just one more thing that I do want to point out: if you're setting up lights for a venue for your own show, I'm 6'6". If your light's not 7 foot high and I have to walk in front of it, I'm gonna block the light on you.
Oh, yeah.
Like, keep that in mind. If people have to walk around the side of the stage, maybe have to be there for a minute, don't have that as your only light source. Have it up higher than them, or make it easy for them to get around behind it.
I'm sorry. I've done that a few times too.
You've done that, but you have enough alternative light sources that I'm not worried about it. And when you've put them in places where I'm like, I'm gonna knock that over, I've told you, and you've moved them. So we're good.
Communication.
I like the little stands you have that come off the poles of your mains. Mm-hmm. Those are nice.
Off the PA.
Are you talking about the PA?
Yeah, the PA.
Yeah.
Okay, you're just talking about the ones from my sub up to the actual.
Yeah,
mains.
yeah, the ones that sit on the pole. I like those.
No, they do help add like a little bit of a center fill for the front, that because usually it's either an up coming down or a down coming up, and I like the ones on there because they help fill that middle area a bit better. That being said, oh man, okay, what have we done so far?
So I think we've touched on most
Oh,
of the things, but
Synchronized performing. That's what we forgot photography wise. So I think it's, God, how's the best way to put this? So we're going to talk about this, and at first you're going to be like, that's gay, Blaine. I'm not doing that. And I'm going to look at you and say, then you don't want good photos. So we kind of went over, learn to synchronize when you practice, learn to do those hair twirls, learn to do when you're going to throw down and when you're going to do your heavy drops and stuff like that. Be in unison with each other on that, but that doesn't just go with that. It also kind of means you guys should kind of look like you're a band.
Totally.
And the Backstreet Boys did it best, and NSYNC did it best, but at the end
Justin
of the day,
Timberlake still is doing it.
well, he doesn't have a group that he's with anymore is the point I'm getting at.
But he's got his
look
background
like
band.
you belong together.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get that. I mean, don't get me wrong, be yourself, be you. Why can't you look like you're supposed to be together? Now, I'm not going to say too much on my band's defense because we are horrible about this, but we're a bunch of old school metalheads. It pretty much comes down to camo and torn up fucking clothes. That's really all we have to do because we are old school thrash prog style kind of stuff. So it really doesn't matter to our genre. But even
Trevor's band
so,
just wears Adidas.
they
Cold,
do. They
Cold
wear
Hearts.
a lot of Adidas.
I mean, like if you want the prime example, we have custom tall tees that we ordered from Adidas. We all try to wear black pants, and Adidas shoes. No joke.
All
Like,
black
but I mean-
all the time.
and there's
I
been
hate
times
your
that I've
band.
been-
Well, no, but the new shirts, they're actually not actually black. They're a faded, or a lighter shade of black with spandex woven in, so it gives a sheen.
I like you better already.
Yeah, I know. There's a reason we do things.
But the thing is it's just it should look like you guys
Yeah.
belong together. You know, it's really awkward when you see one guy wearing a white shirt with, you know, work pants on, and then you've got another guy who's wearing like the hardcore cut up vest with spikes on it and all this stuff. I mean, you look like you're like 5 people that were just grabbed off the street and thrown into a random room and said,
Yeah.
"Here, play
I
instruments."
honestly thought you were gonna say 5 Finger Death Punch.
I don't like fruit punch.
I like 5 flavored fruit punch, but
So, you don't have to look like, you know, baby metal with choreographed dances and outfits.
Right.
But you know
some
what?
cohesion.
Yeah,
helps.
some cohesion, and not just in your performance, not even just in your looks, but also in, you know, your attitude. If your singer is out there looking angry, but your guitarist is out there making goofy faces and laughing it up, y'all don't look cohesive.
Okay, so I actually have a bone to pick on that. I would rather see the goofy guy fucking with the serious dude any day of the week.
But that's a performance.
right.
If it's not cohesive and it's not interactive, it's just dumb.
No, I actually disagree with that. I actually love it when you have somebody that's sitting there and it's just like, I've literally gone to shows where like the singer's like, "I am Satan," and you've got the guitarist. It's like,
Did he have
"Look
a
at
fog
this."
machine to prove it?
Yeah, it was spewing out of his ass. But then you've got the guitarist sitting over there, and he's just like, "Look at this guy," you know. And he's like, like literally making like the stupid funny faces and like,
But that's where I'm like, that's an interaction. That's a performance. That's something you'd want to capture. It's almost like a little bit of slapstick. And
Yeah, but then why
slapstick
did you just say
works
that
on
you wouldn't
stage.
want that?
No, I'm saying like if your guitarist is goofing off by himself and, you know, being silly, or the lead singers, but if you all don't have at least roughly the same attitude towards it, or integrating it, being a cohesive whole, like if you're telling the story of, you know, I'm goofy and he's not, and that's funny, that's a story you're telling. And that's what you're doing on stage. You're telling the story.
Randomness on stage. So like you're saying, you got the serious guy, drummers going hard, serious. And this is a real tour story of mine. So Alex is going hard, Artificial Aliens playing hard, right? And the rest of his band knows that he's in like focus mode because he drank too much and he's trying to be serious and play. So what do? They grab his fucking cymbals and they pull him farther away from him. Next, they grab his bass drum and scoot it a little bit back. Then Vinny goes over to Alex's, or Gabe's guitar stack and starts messing with all of his knobs. And then he notices, looks at Vinny, and he's like, "Well, fuck you, dude. I'm gonna go and turn your volume off." Just like they noticed what they were doing in the beginning, then they noticed they were fucking with each other, and then Caesar's just up there screaming his heart out with a blown out voice, just trying to do what he can. And then you got Alex who's just like, "I can't even play. I can't even play." It was freaking hilarious. But like that's
I
the point.
live for moments
Yeah,
like that.
see,
I think
and
that
I'm
that's
just
fantastic.
sitting there watching all this happen, and I'm like, Austin, don't ever do that to me.
And see, that's where I'm like, I love that. But that's, as a band, you decide to like, let's do this. Or, you know, even as one member of a band to start something like that, yeah, that's great. But if you're just kind of doing your own thing on stage and not interacting, it ain't selling
Well,
it.
that sounds more like somebody who's just not being a performer at that point.
Yeah,
that
no,
sounds
that's
more
kind
like,
of what I mean. Like, you got to be with the band as a whole.
right. Okay, no, that makes a little bit more sense. I can get that to a degree.
I'm for it. Screw
But
you.
anyway, that was all I.
Oh no.
That was all I had to say about
So,
the synchronized performing. As far as interacting with your crowd, something that I would like to state on that though, from a photography perspective, does it piss you off when bands just kind of like talk to the crowd? Is that something that actually can make good photography, or is it something that you would just be like, can you like interact while you're doing music, kind of a thing?
If the talking to the crowd leads to them interacting more with the crowd during the actual songs, yeah, that's great. Gives me a chance to grab a drink. I'm fine with that. If that's the only interaction they have with the crowd, I'm like, why couldn't you just do that with the song going? You know,
Right.
something along those lines. The other thing, I love it when band members jump into crowds, but please don't expect me to get photos of it, because the stage is where all the lights are pointed.
Right.
Everything's set up to capture the stage. my camera I set up to capture that lighting setup. Now I can switch on the fly, and I'm pretty good at it. But there's only so much I can do. If you go from a well-lit stage into a dark crowd of people, and I've got about 0.5 seconds to capture that,
It's not happening.
you got to luck out on my positioning at that time. If I realize you're about to do it, and I can switch my settings on the fly, yeah, you get that shot. Otherwise, no. The crowd gets its bonus, but you don't get a picture of it.
Right. Well, I've got to imagine that's got to go for a lot of things. I've got to imagine that there's points where bands are like, oh, yeah, did you catch that part where I was in the middle of this song and I did that sweet slide and I was doing that air god guitar?
I
And
have had so many. You know what? After a show, I've had so many bands where, I sit with them outside for a minute.
And just flip through your LCD real quick.
I've let them look through the back of the screen. I was like, oh, didn't you catch that? I'm like, no, dude, I was taking a picture of your bassist at that time. You're looking at it.
Right.
Like, I'm only one guy. If you don't tell me ahead of time, like, hey, second chorus over a third song, I'm going to do something epic, there's a chance I'm not looking at you.
Prime example, I've been thinking about it all night. It just popped into my head when I randomly came to that Stress Fed Addiction show, and you're like, hey, we're playing a new song tonight. I think it would be cool if you guested on it. We let y'all know, hey, during this song, Trevor's going to go up and do guest vocals. And you got amazing photos of it because you knew what was going to happen.
Yep.
He got my sweet nips.
Yes, he
I
did.
did do that.
He did get my sweet nips. I end up shirtless most of the times, just in case you don't know.
Can confirm.
I also end up down to my boxers most of the time, too.
Can confirm.
There's
Also,
definitely a point where I'm like, am I still legally photographing this? I don't.
another thing to touch on your point from a vocalist jumping into the crowd. I'm a sucker for live videos. I'm going to state that as much as I can. Volume's one of my favorite bands. I love watching their performances. But when Gus does this Jesus walk into the crowd, and you see the nice camera go from the well-lit stage to terrible dim lit crowd. And then it's he disappears into the crowd. You don't know what's going on, but he's the vocalist and they're paid to track him. So you're watching a dimly lit, terrible crowd performance.
Right.
Yep. And honestly, in big venues, it's not that much of an issue, especially if I know that a singer is going to crowd surf at the end of a song. I'll run to the back, get my long lens on. I'll get all the stage lights, still kind of somewhat lighting the singer. But if it's a small venue, especially, dude, I'm having a hard enough time getting enough light on you.
Yeah.
If you're going to go into the area without the light, I'm sorry, man. You're on your own.
So I do need to bring up one thing. I, being the promoter, have to work with the venue owners to a degree, and I have to make sure that things are taken care of to a certain extent. One of the things that I know is always a great photography point of view for a band, again, coming back to bands like Narrow Minded and them standing on tables, getting on bars, pool tables, stuff like that, going through the building and kind of just making the entire building your stage. I absolutely love that you do that as an artist. I don't love that you do that as somebody who has to take responsibility for the well-being of a venue and a place, since I work with multiple places. If you are going to do something like that, check with the staff.
As a photographer, I do it all the time. I'm like, hey.
No, I've literally watched you climb on our bars to get better angles on shots. And because you speak to us and because you let the bar staff know, you let the ladies behind the bar know, we know what to expect. And they'll get you a step stool or they'll help you up and down. There's not a qualm with bands doing it. There's a qualm with not letting us know, because you standing in certain areas can be pretty detrimental, especially if you're close to food items, especially if you're close to areas where we have to keep certain sanitation levels. It is still a place of business. We still have rules and regulations to follow. Yeah. And nobody wants to be in trouble or owe money or have to pay for stuff that we don't need to, or pay fines and get in a lot of trouble. Just communicate with your promoters, communicate with your photographers, communicate with the staff. We are willing to let you guys do your thing, to have the fun, to enjoy the night and make the show. We want that.
Yeah.
You give us a good performance. The crowd fucking loves it. we're going to succeed as well, because that's going to mean people aren't going to be like, oh, this is boring, I'm leaving. No, they're going to stay. They're going to have more drinks. From a business perspective, it makes sense to let you guys do the things you do that draw your crowd. Just do it respectfully. That's all I ask.
And that's the other thing, too, that I do want to kind of touch on very slightly. If your performance includes doing things that might be borderline legal, you know, there might be a fine involved if somebody were to, I don't want to photograph that.
Yeah, I can't say I would blame you even for not wanting to photograph that.
If you are in a state that doesn't allow the smoking of marijuana and you're lighting up a blunt on stage, I'm not going to take the picture of that. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah.
I don't want to. I will never want my photos to be Exhibit A. That's just not my thing.
Right. And another thing is too is a lot of bands really love that they get to the point where it's like girls are willing to flash their tits at them and stuff like that. It is a fantastic thing. Think about where you are. If it is an all ages event, you really need to debate whether you want that kind of crowd shit going on. Not just because for you, but because if he takes photographs of it, you ain't getting them, and he's probably going to delete them as soon as possible, because he doesn't know if they're minors, he doesn't know if they're adults, and he's not going to take that risk. So if you're wanting that kind of stuff, do it on your own time, dude.
Don't ever do that at a Cold Heart show.
Yeah. Honestly, if I'm photographing a show and it's a thing where the artist is encouraging female nudity, especially at an all ages show, or there's cat fights and clothes are being torn off and artists are encouraging the fight because, hey, clothes are coming off, I'll walk.
Yeah.
I don't care. Even if you're paying me, I'll refund you for that. Like, look, I am not going to risk my livelihood for a photo of...
Look how wild our show was.
If you want to, you know what? The mystique of the fact that all that happened at your show and there's no photos of it, that might even do more for your reputation than any picture I'm going to take. We're good.
Right. No, it's you got to understand that not everything is meant to be caught on camera, and a lot of things can come back to be used as Exhibit A, or can come back to get you in trouble because you being somebody from out of the country and coming into the country, it's even more of a liability for you to be caught in those situations. So you need to respect your photographer on the level as well. Now, if you've got the photographer who's down with that, sweet, more power to you. Do your thing. It's your guys' lawsuits to deal with.
Just cover your bases for sure.
Just make sure you're smart about it, please.
Ask the photographer for sure. Like, if you know that's a constant thing at your shows, or you know that shit gets broken, or noses get broken, or fights break out, I see it all the time. Ask your photographer, hey, man, you know, this might happen. Like, we're a pretty prominent hardcore band from the area, and people like to get in fights, and mosh crews show up, and there's illicit things that happen. Are you okay with photographing that? And he's going to give you an honest answer, yes, no. And it goes from there.
And that goes for if you want to do a promotional shoot with your band as well. If you invite me to your band's place or wherever you want to do this photo shoot and you leave a brick of cocaine on the table, I am walking. Yeah. I am here as an immigrant. I don't want to deal with your crap.
Well, even from the perspective of not being an immigrant, I wouldn't think you'd just want to be a part of that business at all anyway. Nope. I mean, I know that comes with the whole mystique of sex, drugs, rock and roll, but...
Which is really a mystique.
It's a mystique. It's really not exciting in any way, shape, or form.
I can make you look sex, drugs, and rock and roll while being stone cold sober. Let's go.
Yeah.
That's the sad reality of it that people miss too, is most of them are sober and it's just a video or photo effect.
Yeah. Yep. No, it's a glamour field. And I mean, as far as like the whole like girls flashing their boobs and stuff like that, I know that like if you go to a Rob Zombie concert, he literally has a camera and will go through the crowd and like look for girls that are willing to do it for his music videos. Cool. More power to him. He's also got the money to be able to fight that in a lawyer court, you know.
And
versus me, if that happened and I did that.
I
believe not.
I believe there's also waivers assigned at entrance to his shows where he's recording.
No, I never signed any waivers, and neither did my wife. Huh. So I've been to a couple.
You flashed Rob Zombie, didn't you?
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, yeah, I knew
it. I showed him my big old titties.
Big old bitties.
Big old bitties. Come here, zombie. I'm going to bring you back to life with these birdies. Anyway, that being said, it also comes back on the venues. If that kind of stuff is being shown at an all ages event at a venue, we are getting fined.
Oh, 100%.
There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Now, look, you guys can be upset that I'm being the adult in the room if, it's like I'm stomping on your parade. But at the end of the day, you get me fined. I stop doing the shows. You don't have places to play.
Well,
so you take your pick. Be respectful of that stuff. There is a time and place for it. You go out to like the big old open door festival things.
Yeah.
Go for it.
But it's not
Small
even
venue. Don't do it.
It's not even that. But you as a promoter, you have a voice. And if a band is getting you fined because they are encouraging stuff that really shouldn't have been happening, despite you not wanting it to happen, you have other promoters you can talk to.
Right.
If you want to keep your band getting booked, just be respectful, communicate. Honestly,
that will be a topic for another podcast or audiocast or whatever we're calling these video vlogs. I don't know what they are.
Yeah,
what are we?
We're everything.
We're a show. We're the BPM. We're BPM. So actually, there's one thing that we do have to talk about still on the show.
But real quick, I just want to say that we will bring that up on another discussion of. We do communicate. Promoters do talk. Mm-hmm. We do talk. And not just to other promoters. We also talk to other venues, to other bars that don't have a promoter. And we know a lot of the artists. That will be a conversation one day. Mm-hmm. I will bring that up.
But there's one thing, when we talk about things that we should bring up on a podcast, you know what, we should, Trevor, I think we should name a segment for this or something. But I'm just I've been intrigued by the shirt you're wearing.
It's called Who You Reppin'. God damn it, that's 3 in a row. I hate you so much.
I did it last time.
I know. He did it on the first episode. And I have yet to actually be able to say my little spiel that I
think that's the best
thing.
way to segue into it.
I'm just going to piss Papa Bear off. Yeah.
Let's
I
not
just
sleep
want to do
tonight.
it. So wait a minute. Did we go to the left last time or the right last time?
We went to the left last time.
Well, good. Fuck you. Let's go to the right this time. Trevor, who you repping?
I am repping the Ultimate Homies and Artificial Aliens, tour mates from the last tour. Wild fucking dudes.
Awesome kids. Have booked them.
Yeah, they're great guys. Caesar, he's got an amazing voice. They're fun. That's the thing that sold them for me. Even
kind of got that idea earlier in this show.
Oh yeah, totally. Day one of tour, man. When you show up to a show and you just I'm a stoner. When you show up to a show and the other band's already there before you, and it's just you vibe with them instantly. I don't know if you've ever had that connection with the dudes you've never met before in your life until you're like, hey, let's go.
I've never had that connection where 4 wieners touched.
4. But no, so day one of tour, we just pretty much, I booked the first day of tour, so I knew it was going to flop because it was in a town of 200 people. And so it was just a band practice pretty much. And we told them that. We're like, hey, this show's really not going to do well, but it's a great tour warm up. So we just got fucked up all night. And it was the best experience ever because they're exactly like Cold Hearts, but post-hardcore. And so from then on, that moment from right there to the end of tour, fucking killer dudes. If you haven't checked out their music, they're on every platform, Spotify, Apple, iTunes, whatever you want to go on to. Awesome dudes.
So maybe you should. No. Maybe you should explain to them about how your guys' little fun antic games pissed off one of my head bartenders.
Hi, Pixie. If you watch this,
Pixie, we love you.
So today,
we love you. Trevor's here too.
Today is a Saturday, and I'm holding my drink in the correct hand. So we decided on the second day of tour, which was the Tin Hat show that Blaine put on for us, which popped the fuck off. That was a wild show. I've never seen a wall of death in the Tin Hat until that night. And Artificial Aliens did that, not even us. We had an all-girl mosh pit, which was 10 girls at least, but they had a fucking straight wall of death in this tiny little bar. So we decided we'd play the drinking game with them that they were playing the night before called Buffalo. And I was the first contestant to enter the game, I would say. So on every day but Tuesday and Wednesday, you hold your drink in the right hand. And on Tuesday and Wednesday, you hold your drink in the left hand. So for instance, right now, someone could call Buffalo on me and I'd have to slam my entire drink or pour it on. No. Don't do it. I've already had quite a few. But so
I said it with an accent. It doesn't count.
And you actually have to be playing the game. You have to know all the rules. So pretty much Pixie knew that we were going out on tour and it was going to be a bad time. And I drank our entire bar tab in a quick minute because I was playing Buffalo. So she was making me these amazing drinks like berry lemon drops. There was another one that she had that was really good, but she had gotten so mad at me because every time I would pick the drink up from her, it was in the wrong hand. And one of the guys from Artificial Aliens were right there calling Buffalo on me. So about by like the 8th drink that they called Buffalo on me, I had to go outside and dump it on my head. And she was not happy about that because we were playing in 20 minutes and I didn't want to puke all over the stage. So yeah, sorry Pixie. You make good drinks though. We miss you. I hope all is well. And thanks for completely blacking me out that night to the point where I slept in Blaine's basement like a little baby.
So
I woke up and my hair was the stickiest mess I'd ever dealt with in my life.
it's okay. After you left, my blow up mattresses and my futons were the stickiest messes I'd ever seen too.
I'm not surprised. I'm sorry.
And he didn't even.
Nope. The one time that I stayed here that I didn't.
Oh, damn it. Now I'm just thinking about all the times you stayed here before moving in here.
Yep.
Ew. Anyway,
Well, this show's a concern.
Jan had called out his hat. It is also a Kingdom of Giants
Oh yeah,
hat.
my hat. Kingdom of Giants.
He did talk about Kingdom of Giants in the last episode.
This
but
was,
go ahead and make a quick reference to it.
They're great dudes. I try to see them every time they come through. This was a Christmas present that showed up late because they accidentally forgot to ship it from Blaine, which I'm super grateful for. Yeah, no, great dudes. They make post-hardcore, clean singing. Their earlier stuff's pretty heavy. Steven Reza, shout out. But yeah, no, Kingdom of Giants, great guys. Check out their new album, Passenger, if you haven't yet.
All right. And then Jan, who you repping?
So I've got my Cold Kingdom hoodie on. Now I say my Cold Kingdom hoodie. I definitely stole this from Casey Cahoon, the lead guitar player of Rising Enemy.
Ah, yes.
And I spent about 3 weeks just sending him random pictures of me in places with this hoodie on, and he never noticed that I was wearing this hoodie. So eventually when I moved out of town for a little bit, it just became a hoodie.
Casey, if you want it back, too bad.
Trevor might make a sticky mess out of it. But Cold Kingdom is an amazing female fronted metal band. Incredible on stage energy. Absolutely love what those guys did.
Can I stop you real quick? Did you really just say female fronted?
Yeah.
That's not a real genre, but okay.
I mean, they're a female fronted metal band.
They're a metal band.
Right, cool. I love female vocalists.
I know. I'm just
in metal,
giving,
and
It is actually a thing these days where
I
people
know,
are
I had
actually
to add the
no.
meme.
And I would actually like to address this for 2 seconds because it will be a topic one day on another episode. I understand that saying a female fronted band is actually considered a sexist thing these days. And the reason for that being is because they are a metal band. They are not a female-fronted metal band because that puts a stipulation on them that it's a female. Now, I'm not holding you to any constituents or like technicality terms. He brought the shit up. I actually wanted to make a full episode about that one day. But the thing of the matter is that I'm giving you that information now. So that way we grow, we learn. Everybody makes mistakes, and we cannot grow and learn unless somebody is willing to have a decent conversation with each other. So I'm just letting you know, it's best to not say a female-fronted metal band. Just say they are a fantastic metal band, and the lead singer is a fantastic singer. And just treat it like you're not really expressing that it's a female.
I got
you're just treating
roasted
it as
for
a
that. That's why I brought it up.
I have been roasted for it too, and that's why I want to share that wisdom to you.
And it's definitely something that I very much enjoy, the vocalist in this band a lot.
I enjoyed the vocalist that played here when I booked them. She shortly left after that. I mean, maybe a couple months after that show, she left the band. And then they got a new singer. Now, I'm not saying that she is bad. She's actually very fantastic, but the style changed.
Yeah, no, I still
so
love
it
them,
threw
though.
me off, and I have not gone back and given her enough chance to really see how she's doing now.
I think it's worth doing so. She's wonderful.
Is the new singer really holding up well?
Absolutely is.
Okay, good. Then that makes me happy to hear.
I would just as easily go see him live today as I would back then. And then underneath that, I'm wearing my Within Temptation shirt.
Nice.
They're Dutch Gothic metal. Very whimsical. Absolutely great stage presence. They were my first metal band I saw live at the age of 13 or 14.
Nice.
And when I was 30, I photographed their show back in Portland.
Nice.
Which was just absolutely crazy to me because, they came from the Netherlands as well. That's where I first saw them in Wageningen at a festival. And then I got to see them in Portland on their tour with In Flames. A wonderful show. That was the one that you were supposed to join me for, Blaine.
Yeah, I do apologize that I couldn't make it to that show. It's kind of a bummer for me as well because I was really excited to go and check that one out because I was finally going to get a chance to see you after starting your new career doing bigger shows in Portland. So it was a bummer for both of us. Work sucks, and that's how it goes sometimes, unfortunately.
It really is.
It be like that.
Now,
It be like that.
Blaine, I do have one question for you.
Sometimes it be like that.
Now I have more than one question for you, but I only want one answered. And Blaine,
Oh, sorry, we weren't supposed to beatbox right there.
You tell me how you want to feel. I don't know. Anyway, so let's wrap this up.
so yeah, Blaine,
Blaine.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Who you
rapping? Who you rapping, bro? Bro, who you
So
rapping?
right out the gate on the top of the bill, we've got the boys and Sui Generis. They are a couple of my locals. As far as local acts go in the area, they are the most unique style that I think there is in this town. And for a lot of towns, in all reality, they are a trippy, carnival, waltzy, bluesy, weird, over-the-top metal band. And those guys have such a unique sound. If you've never heard them, look them up. It's Sui Generis. It should be pretty easy to figure out, but we don't have the ability to play videos and stuff like that.
40 minutes of video off that hat.
Okay, but it's one of those things where it's like a SUI, what is that, a hyphen?
Yeah.
Hyphen.
Generis,
I did not graduate high school.
Generis. Check them out. Sui Generis is freaking amazing as far as their sound. They really are a unique style of their own. Love those guys. Fantastic. And then secondary, I've got my Mobile Death Camp shirt on, and Mobile Death Camp is kind of like a breed of top national bands coming together to make a crazy underground band that kind of has reputation. Sorry. Kind of has reputation, but kind of doesn't. Like when I ask about them, nobody knows who the hell they are, but apparently they're on charts and stuff from when they were doing
I thought
their
it was
things.
Killdozer at first.
No, it's Mobile Death Camp. Face melting hate since 2008. Yeah.
I literally only know them because of Blaine's shirt.
So Mobile Death Camp is members of Guar, Static X. Oh, I'm gonna mess this up. You know what? I'm not even gonna try. But
I knew the Static X part.
It's got two of those members. So what happened is when Static X's bass player went to play for Fear Factory for a while, I went to that concert and he was there, and I was like, dude, I'm such a huge fan. He probably thought that I thought he was like an original Fear Factory member because he really didn't give me a lot of credit for it. And then his wife or girlfriend or whatever she is, I'm not going to presume, I don't know his love life. She was like, oh my God, is that a Mobile Death Camp shirt? And I was like, fuck yeah, it is. And he stopped because he was talking to like another fan, and he turned his head and he saw it was me, and he was like, you're wearing a Mobile Death Camp shirt. And I was like, dude, I told you, I've been following you for a long time. You're awesome, dude.
Is that actually what he sounds like?
No. My name's Timmy.
He is actually a South Park character.
That is
my goodness.
not what he sounds like at all. No, he's a really nice dude. I can't think of his name right now either, and I apologize for that.
Really nice dude. You're awesome.
He is now currently, again, the bass player for Static X, so that's at least good. But yeah, we actually started talking a little bit after that, and actually when I went to go see Static X in 2018, winter in Spokane, I was wearing the Mobile Death Camp shirt again, and I stationed my ass right in front of where he was at on the stage, and I saw him. I had my battle vest on, took that sucker off, and he looked back at me, and I was just like this, where I flicked the shirt up so that you can kind of see what's going on with it, and he's like, oh, and he starts pointing at me, and I was just like, dude, I told you, I fucking love your ass, man. He's a badass. And he actually ended up like tossing me a pick and like giving me the good old like hang loose symbol, and just kind of just kept going with the show. And I was like, dude, that's awesome. It's like, it's cool when I can do little things where like even the Nationals can kind of like, I remember you. You're that asshole. So
That's
it's
dope, though.
It's pretty cool. I
That's
like
actually
having
really
stories like
dope.
that.
So
Mobile Death Camp, my band got to open for them a long time ago, and Mobile Death Camp is just super awesome, super great band. If you like that guar meets thrash meets old school metal influences kind of a stuff. They're just fantastic. They're a great band for old metal heads like me.
Fair. So yeah, I think that kind of is going to wrap up our technical difficulties episode.
Technical difficulties episode. So
What you don't know right now is I became fully naked.
right.
Nobody screamed. We all know it's not true.
So I'm gonna just lean in to grab a nippy.
Nipple? Get
And so anyway, since there's no visual, there is no proof, which means I'm scot-free.
Can confirm.
Can confirm.
We're canceled.
We're canceled. Anyway, that is it for episode 3. Much love to you all. Thank you for supporting us by watching our rambling ass little vlog, video, podcast.
Make sure
things
you
that we do.
like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, follow us on
Papa
Facebook
Bear and
at
Associates.
Papa Bear and
Paper Bear?
Paper Bear,
Paper
Papa Bear and Associates.
Make sure
you
to
can
check us out
find
on Facebook at Papa Bear and Associates.
any of our
And
personal pages.
You can also check us out on Blaine Trum on Instagram because I post all of our Papa Bear stuff onto there. And we will have a YouTube channel up soon, and we will be making sure that
You
is
say
listed
soon, but by the time that this video is up, it's on there.
Yeah, I know.
So
So
again,
just wait 3 seconds. It'll
make
appear on
sure
your screen.
you like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell.
And please, if you want to get some stuff in here, like topics that you would like us to go over, stuff that you think that's worth having conversations for, or if there are artists that you would like us to call and interview, because I believe that's going to be the goal for episode 4, is we need to get some new voices in here.
Even if it's like a video producer or something like that.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be an artist. It's just somebody in the music industry that does some kind of facet. Is there a guy who makes music videos for bands that you think is just the shit?
Now,
Let me know. I'll try to reach out to him.
are we going to be able to get a hold of like Scott Rudd or Joey Sturgis? No, probably not. But we can try.
Right. And if you want to send those in, just hit us up on Facebook like we were talking about, or you can reach out to us at papabeargigs, Gigs, at hotmail.com. Again, that's papabeargigs at hotmail.com. Shoot a thing in and just start it off with BPM's podcast or BPM's questions. Just something that says BPM so I know that it's for that category. Past that, we are going to end this episode, and good night and much love. Papa Bear and Associates does not take any responsibility for sexual complications while listening to this program. Side effects have been known to include sweating, extended and unexpected erections, perked nipples, butt clenching, inflammation of the testicles, and anal seepage. Furthermore, if you are experiencing any of these symptoms, you should make sure to send us your non-graphic pictures for our viewing pleasure. Thank you and much love.